Since 1999, the GT3 has been the 911 of choice for Porsche enthusiasts who like driving on tracks. I like driving on tracks, and I'm here at Anglesey circuit to drive the latest GT3, and I'm really rather excited about that because Porsche says this is the best GT3 it's ever made. Unfortunately though, people don't seem to be very interested in talking about that. They don't seem to want to talk about the new 4-litre 500 horsepower engine that revs to 9,000 RPM. They don't seem to want to talk about the improved aero. They don't even seem to want to talk about the fact that you can have it with a manual gearbox, something that we never thought we'd ever have again. No, instead people seem to be going on about the conspiracy theory about the supposed stitch-up between Porsche dealers and their VIP customers that denies enthusiasts like us our basic human right to spend £111,000 on a brand new Porsche. Now I think this is deeply tedious because this is a really cool car. Now obviously that's not going to help if you didn't make the list and you're not going to get one, but I'm sure you can find something entertaining to do with that £111,000 that will get you on track in something fast and exciting. In the meantime, let's have a look at why Porsche reckons this is the best GT3 it's ever made. Now, to look at it, you're probably thinking it looks very similar to the first generation 991 GT3. That's because it does. There are a few subtle exterior changes and I think it looks a bit cleaner than the first one, but the main changes are under the skin, more than meets the eye, as Andreas Preuninger kept saying when he taught me around this car before its Geneva show unveiling. Now then, we'll start at the front, being as how that's where I am. You will see this new bumper. We've got slightly different shaped flicks, I guess, here, which help direct the air down the side of the car and into the bigger front radiators. It needs those because of the bigger engine and the increased power. That tidies up the airflow and actually makes it smoother down the sides. The main aero effort though has gone underneath the car, and this uses lessons that they learned when they were building the 911R. And then the wing has been moved backwards and upwards a little bit to reduce the drag. But the whole car, at top speed, you get a 20% increase in downforce for no extra drag, which is a really impressive effort. Porsche are rightly proud of that. But the really interesting stuff about this car, the really geeky bit, is the engine. It's 4 litres, like the R and the RS, but it's revier than the engines in those cars. It peaks at 9,000 RPM, and it's got some clever technology to let it do that. Rather than hydraulic valve lifters, and forgive the geekery here because this is going to get quite intense, it's got a mechanical system which reduces friction, reduces the oil pressure, and on its own is worth another 9 horsepower. That means the engine can rev more freely, it's more zingy, it's got a bigger power band. From about 2,000 RPM to 9,000, this thing will scream. And it's got a manual gearbox. So after all that soul searching about the PDK only transmission in the first generation 991, this is a really exciting moment. You know, everyone at that point was saying, oh, you know, it's just become a trim level, it's not a purist's car anymore. Porsche listened, Porsche has given us the transmission that we wanted. This is the moment that the purists win, I think. This is massively exciting. I can't wait to finally get behind the wheel of a manual GT3 again. I really didn't think this would ever happen. Oh, hang on, it's a PDK. I thought it was meant to be a manual. I thought that was the whole point. Oh, okay. Well, it turns out that the early production GT3s are all PDK, so even if you did get on the list and wanted a manual, you can't have one yet. Well, seeing as we're here, may as well see how it goes, haven't we? Yes, it's a PDK. Now, time for a bit of a confession, because although I did royally moan when the first generation 991 GT3 came out with PDK only, having driven the car, can actually kind of see the point and whisper it. I think PDK might actually suit this car better than the manual. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. We haven't driven the manual yet. The PDK with this engine just seems to work really nicely. It's just this combination of such a fearsome motorsport engine, and it is a motorsport engine because it's the same as you get in cup cars, the RSR, things like that. This is from the same engine family, and there really is a sense of a race sequential in the PDK sport mode. Then actually I think a GT3 works alright with a PDK. This is a really focused car. Now you'll see I'm having to concentrate pretty hard. We just had a bit of rain here on the Anglesey circuit, so it's making me a little bit thoughtful about my throttle input. I'm on Cup 2 tyres, but even then you can just hear the shriek of this engine. It's absolutely incredible. Andreas Preuninger told me when he gave me a talk around the car, he said this new mechanical drivetrain gives the car a very different noise. He called it a Gen 2 sound. And they've actually removed some of the sound deadening from the car as well, so you get more of a sense of what that engine sounds like, and it just goes berserk, because once you get down to about 6,000 revs, the way it just picks up and goes to those last couple of thousand revs up to 9,000 red line is absolutely phenomenal. And when you look at it, just think how few cars there are like this in the market now. I mean, how many naturally aspirated sports cars are there? How many naturally aspirated track-focused cars are there? There really aren't that many. This is a car for people who really want to drive. You can see I'm concentrating. That is a really fast section through there. You can feel the aero working, and through here you can feel what Porsche describes as a loose bungee. Now I'm driving it now with everything on. Look at that. So that's with everything on, and actually it's quite intrusive. If you really want to get a feel for the car, you need to turn everything off, which on a track like this means swallowing a brave pill. Now, one of the things Porsche will tell you about this car is they set them up with all the stability systems off. So when they set the car up, the chassis and everything, they do it without any of the safety nets in place. The car has to handle properly without any electronic intervention. As you can see, it's keeping me pretty busy. I have to be, if I lift there, the car moves around. The car will slide around quite a lot. There's four-wheel steering like the previous GT3, which virtually adds to the sense of agility, shortens the wheelbase in the tighter corners. I still don't think the steering feel and the setup of this car is quite as good as some of the 997 GT3 RSs and things like that. It's still a slightly synthetic feeling to it. It's not the last word in communicative Porsches. Sorry, I'm having to really concentrate here. I did provoke that with a lift, but it just goes to show how serious this car is. You really, really can't take liberties. Don't fool yourself that you're a hero, because this car assumes a level of competence before it gives you its best. That's as it should be. If you think modern performance cars have been dumbed down, then as it always has, the GT3 is the one for people who really get it. And I really hope those are the people who end up buying it, because it would be a damn shame if all these cars really do end up in the hands of investors, because it would be a waste of a car. Excuse me, I had to concentrate a bit there. It would be an absolute waste of an amazing car. If people didn't do this with them all the time, forget investments, forget hedge funds, just get out and drive it, please, please, please. If you get one of these cars, take it to a track, do this, drive it as intended, listen to that engine, every opportunity. Is this the best GT3 Porsche's ever made? Well, it could be, but we haven't driven the manual yet, have we?